bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, well, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, February 28th, just 59 days into the new year, 306 days left. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. We're coming to you live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Welcome, everybody. Tonight we have a very special guest. Author Tom Edison is here to talk about his new book. It's called Connecting the Dots. Oh, yeah. Our world today, what's going on with ufology, the ET experience, visitation, and everything else in between. Interdimensional beings, it's all there. Connecting the dots, we're going to discuss that. Tomorrow night, Gavin Kelly's going to be here from Phantasmic Ghost Hunters. Had Gavin on Coast to Coast on Saturday night. And tomorrow night, we're going to be able to go a little bit deeper and do it Fade to Black style. Thursday night is Fader Night with John Rappaport. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do, at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black. JChurch Radio, you know what to do. Follow, like, and subscribe. The buttons are right there on our website. The Sandbox, as every night, is hashtag F2B on Twitter. We don't bite. Come and hang out with us. And if you have any questions or comments during the show tonight, just use hashtag F2BQ, and it will pop up. All right, so there you go. I've got Twitter running. Tonight it's running on my right. I've got the other studios here are on my left, and phone lines and so forth. But everything is up and live and active. The chat rooms. I think we are good to go. So many things happening now with the show tonight, every night live. Work in progress, but I think we're there. I think we're getting really, really good at what we do. And I want to thank everybody that's coming in tonight. That's a new listener. There is now a Twitter feed running in the membership video page. Now check that out. Really? That's what I'm talking about. See, I didn't even know that. There's a Twitter feed running in the membership. And so does that mean you can actually tweet on the member page? Is that what you're saying? Or you can only see the tweets? And which tweet is it? Which feed? Is it the Fade to Black feed? The F2B feed? How cool is that, man? All right. And I think, okay, well, anyway, that's up and running. So let's go. And thank you to everybody that has joined in the membership area. Huge achievement here at Fade to Black and how we put it together. And it is in addition to, now I want everybody to know that if you've just come in and listened to the show live every night, whichever network that you're listening on, and none of that's going to change, okay? The membership area has a video feed and some other things, but it is there in addition to everything that we have built for you guys. So the podcast, Libsyn, all of that stays the same. YouTube stays the same. Spreaker, TalkStream Live, of course, KGRA, everything stays the same. It's just more stuff. That's it. Okay? All right. And do subscribe to our podcast, by the way. It is only $2 a month. And the reason why it helps support the show, first off. Second, we've got that set up like we've pretty much streamed everything else here. It's automatic. So the podcast runs automatically in the background. So it's always updated. The apps are always updated. It's there. $2 a month for those that can't be here live and they would like to listen to the show the next day driving to work. They open up the app, boom, it's there. The current show is there. It's only $2 a month. Okay, so it's going to stay there. All right? And everything else is in addition to. You still have the live show. You still have YouTube. It's all good. Okay? And do check out all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, getthetea.com. Ronnie runs one of the great companies on planet Earth, as all of our sponsors. Getthetea.com. Just go to the specials page right there. Promo code Jimmy, free shipping. There you go. You're a fade or not. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. It's the best coffee in the world. I'm drinking it right now. Mm-hmm. Fade to Black blend. Promo code F2B blend. It's going to get you 15% off of your order, right? Promo codes are right there. Of course, Studio Dome and their Fade or Not package, right? 2 SBB2 speakers in a hard shell case. There you go. All right? All the promo codes are there. Please support the show and go and visit all of our sponsors. Contact in the Desert's coming up. I cannot believe it. We are now, this is the last day of February, man. And that's it. It's March, April, May. So we're 2 months away from Joshua Tree. Contact in the Desert. Tickets and info are over at jimmychurchradio.com. And like I've been announcing, we are going to feature a lot of the speakers at Contact in the Desert on Fade to Black like we do every year. And we're going to broadcast live on that Friday night from Contact in the Desert. George Norrie, Graham Hancock, Jacques Vallée, Robert Bivall, Robert Schock, David Wilcox, Stephen Greer, Corey Good, Jim Mars, Giorgio Tsoukalos, Richard Dolan, Andrew Collins, Linda Moulton Howe, Whitley Strieber, David Sereda. Over the next couple of weeks in here, yes, we're going to have Stephen Greer. We're going to have Robert Bivall. We're going to have Andrew Collins in the next couple of weeks. So there you go. Contact in the Desert. We are giving away passes. Okay? Now, there's only one entry per person. If you go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the banner, go ahead and enter. That's all you got to do. It's right there on the website. Okay? Now, the pass is non-transferable. And I announce this on every show. Look, it's really cool to enter a contest and win. But if you enter and win and you can't go, just give up the pass. Call us. Let us know via email that you can attend, and then we'll draw another name. All right? And somebody else that can go, is lucky enough to win, will be able to attend. All right? And thank you, and good luck to all of you Fader-Knots. Go and enter. You can't win unless you enter. All right. Happy birthday to, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, one of my favorite singers, Train frontman Patrick Monahan is 48. Dude has got some serious pipes. Patrick can sing. Bernadette Peters today is 69. And Gilbert Gottfried is 62. How old are we getting when Gilbert Gottfried is 62 years old? Man, on this day in history, OTD. 1993, it went down. The ATF raids the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, unsuccessful as the agents attempted to penetrate the complex. Of course, gunfire erupted, beginning an extended gun battle that left 4 ATF agents dead, 15 wounded. 6 Branch Davidians were fatally wounded. 7 more were injured, including David Koresh, the cult's founder and leader. Fader fact. Check this out. Theodore Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Harry Truman all reported sightings of Abraham Lincoln's ghost at the White House. That is a fact or fact. All right, tonight, very special guest Tom Edison is here. We're going to talk about his new book, Connecting the Dots. I do have the book here. I have been reading it for a couple of weeks. Excellent book, and you can check it out. We're going to talk about that tonight. Tomorrow night, Gavin Kelly is here. Phantasmic Ghost Hunters. Thursday night, Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live, followed by open lines. 323-825-5045. I'll open up the phone lines tonight, too, for Tom Edison, and let's enjoy the show. It's going to be great. All right. Now, recently, let me get a few things off my chest. Recently, 3 days ago, Google delisted natural news, naturalnews.com, natural news from their search engine. I didn't even know they did stuff like that, actually, but they did. And they also deleted all 140,000 pages of natural news, right, from the search engine. Gone. Now, although you may or may not have heard about it, that is not what's most important here. What is most important is that Silicon Valley and its blogs, the tech industry there, what they had to say about it. And more on that in just a bit. Just follow me. The new season of Homeland is out on Showtime. Well, right now, the first 6 episodes are up. What? No, is the answer. But the new season of Homeland is out on Showtime. Well, at least the first 6 episodes are. And we just binged them, and we couldn't wait for the end of the season. We tried to, by the way. That was the deal that Rita and I made. Let's just go ahead and wait for the whole season, and then we'll go and binge it. But we couldn't help ourselves. And so we did. We got through episode 6 last night. It's typically great. And this isn't disappointing at all. It's a pretty cool season, and it's based in New York City, right? Okay. But that, again, isn't what's most interesting. What is interesting here is that Alex Jones, there is a character like Alex Jones that is featured in episodes 3, 4, and 5. Now, when he first appears on the show, you don't see him. You hear him on a radio in the background, right? Okay. You have to see the show to understand what I'm saying, but it's a radio playing in the background, and all of the Alex Jonesisms are there. The voice, the attitude, the conspiracy, right? You know, the passion. There is very little done to hide who it is on the radio. It's supposed to be Alex Jones, and that's fine, and it's actually pretty cool. Alex is played by Jake Weber. His character's name is Elliot O'Keefe, and Weber's portrayal of Jones is pretty spot on. The writers, the producers of Homeland were definitely going for the bigger picture of what is happening right now in the United States. And they're trying to do that and also pop culture in general. And now Jake doesn't look like Alex or anything like that, but he's certainly got the attitude down and he's got the voice down. And they wanted to make sure that there was no question about who was supposed to be on the radio. All right? Do you follow me? Okay. The Alex Jones InfoWars machine has risen to the point of being part of a plot in a major television production. Now, listen to what I'm trying to say here. One that really tries its best, and I'm talking about Homeland, to be real and realistic. Right? So having Alex Jones playing in the background anywhere in America, it happens a lot, and that's what they are doing here. All right? And it's also part of the characters who is listening to Alex, part of his slipping into a questionable mind, right? I don't want to say insanity because what's going on with this character, it was induced by sarin gas and a terrorist plot and so forth. But he is a great spy, and he's a great counterintelligence agent, and he's also a death machine, and he's a former military guy. So that all plays into part of it. Now, just go with me on this. Just stay with me. back to Natural News. Mike Adams, the owner and founder of Natural News, went off the rails in his posting an article on the Google takedown. And he had stated, you can go and read this for yourself, he had stated that it was because he was told to help take down Alex Jones. All right? And that's what he says in his article. And then he goes on to say that it was also because of his love for Trump. And then he goes on to say it was because of his anti-vaccine stance with Big Pharma. And he continues on, it was because of blah, 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 blah. It was tough to read. All right, Mike Adams is a smart guy. But when you check out the Silicon Valley blogs and tech sites that mention the Google takedown, there was a whole nother reason for it, which had nothing to do with Jones or the Trump conspiracy inside Google that Mike Adams refers to. And it had everything to do with their terms of service. I'm speaking of Google, on how a site is supposed to not mislead the surfers, the readers, or how the site is surfed and listed in search engines. Okay, you see, apparently Adams was redirecting, or his webmasters were redirecting his links to advertisers. And that's a big no-no in the internet world. When someone clicks on an article that you're supposed to get that article. All right? Not directly connected to an advertiser. And his pages that were in Google and in the index were doing just that. And most of it apparently on a mobile platform. So, and what's also most important here is that his site is ranked as one of the top sites in the world. I'm talking about top sites, heavy traffic, real numbers. Okay? So, Natural News is already on Google's radar. It's in reports. They are looking at the top sites all the time. And if one of those top sites has 140,000 pages indexed, and you're going to go and click on one of those, and it doesn't take you to the article, it doesn't take you to the site, it takes you to an advertiser, you're going to, that's it. There are bots, there are engines, there are things that are running in the background to make sure that this exact thing doesn't occur. Okay? That's what Google wants. Google wants to make sure that when you click on a link on their site, on a Google search engine, that it is going to take you to that link and you are not being misled. That's why they took him down. At least that's what Google said. Now, all of the tech sites and the blogs in Silicon Valley, and we're talking about this because it was pretty big news. This is a major website, right? Now, they didn't, Natural News is still there, but if you go and search Natural News in Google, it does not pop up. It's not there. There are articles about Natural News getting delisted, but there's no Natural News links. Right? This is a big deal in Silicon Valley. So the tech sites and the blogs that are out there, they all got back to Google and said, why did you do this? Right? We want to know. And they said, quite simply, they violated our terms of service. They were redirecting their pages to advertisers. And that's the part that Mike Adams wasn't talking about. Now, again, it doesn't matter to me. I'm talking about the way that the real world out there, outside of our circles, looks back at Natural News, Alex Jones, and conspiracy. Because in the tech blogs that were reporting on the delisting, how they described Natural News and the website was interesting. They look at it, they called Natural News, it was a conspiracy, fake news, alt-right prepper site. And yes, that's exactly what it is. It is. Nobody cares about that. There's plenty of those out there. But what they tied all of that into was Mike Adams going off the rails about Google's anti-Trump Jones conspiracy that was behind the takedown. That part is misleading. Now, maybe Mike Adams believes this. Maybe he was told to go against Jones, and maybe somehow he has in his own mind, rightfully so or not, I don't know. I haven't talked to Mike. But he has tied it all into this position that Silicon Valley has against Trump, apparently. That's what he thinks. Again, it's just all about the conspiracy theory, and I get all of that too. But what got me thinking about this, right? Would the producers of Homeland or the tech world of Silicon Valley that looks back at Alex Jones, the way that they've got him represented in Homeland, or Mike Adams and Natural News, the way that Silicon Valley and those tech giants look at websites like Natural News, what would they think about Fade to Black? That really got me thinking. Do we represent ourselves as crazy? Right? Do we go off the rails here? I don't think that we do. Are we crazy? I don't think that we are. And I don't want to be lumped into that view of the world, that we're anti this, or we're Sandy Hook that, or I don't want to get lumped into that, because that's not really honestly what we are about. How far do we take it? Or do we take it there at all? I need you guys to listen to me and understand where I'm coming from with this, because I want us to be something that people look at with pride, that we are questioning everything. Not only you, but I'm talking about the world out there. I don't think here, right? I don't think that the NSA is bugging this bunker that we're in with their top secret surveillance light bulbs. No, I just don't. And I don't think that 9/11 was a tactical nuke. I don't. I know that there's something behind it. I do. 9/11. And I know that the NSA is into the craziest of surveillance, but I don't take it to the next level. That type of conspiracy is fear porn, and that's not what I do. And I never will. What I do think, what I do know, let's change this. What I do know is something is much bigger than that, than tactical nukes or secret light bulbs bugging your bathroom. There's something much more important here, and that is that we don't know nothing. Nothing. At least that's what we're told, that we don't know nothing. And I think we are getting closer to the truth. The real history of the world and what it means to everything. And I do mean everything, because it's right in front of us. And when I say that conspiracy is the new normal, well, it really is. It's one big umbrella that everything falls under, and it starts with our own human history. We know that the origins of man, as we have been taught, is a lie. It's fictitious. And that, my friends, isn't crazy talk. That's reality. And when you spin off of that and connect it to everything that is around us, you start to see that we don't know anything. And knowing that is the most important answer that we can get, that we can have. We know that there is much more to learn. And we also know that we've only just begun. And that is what this show is about. It's about the journey. As much as I enjoyed hearing Alex Jones and that character on Homeland, and it was pretty cool, trust me, it definitely reminded me of exactly not what to do. It just did. I don't want that image. When you tell somebody that you listen to Fade to Black, I want people to say that this show, although challenging the worldview at every turn, is at least respected, and it is not misrepresenting the facts. That what we do here is question everything, and we are on a search for answers. right? That we are not here to scare you into insanity. So think about this. UFOs, yes. ET, yes. Alone in the universe, no. Right? Lost history, yes. Ghost, remote viewing, ESP, Bigfoot, the Knights Templar, the Illuminati, right? Those are all things that we can talk about and we can try to figure out together. The list is long. It's much longer than that, but it's fun. And that's what we do here. I was discussing with Rita the other day. One of the things that I would like to do, right? I mean, to totally separate us from everybody. One thing that has not been done, I want you to think about this. One thing that hasn't been done, I would love, when you go and you see a skyscraper, some tall building being built, and you see those huge cranes that hundreds of feet in the air with the swing arms, and the dude up there that's, in the end of the crane that's probably making $500 an hour for risking his life. And they're raising stuff up in I-beams and concrete, and they're doing it's just crazy, right? Go to one of those construction companies, sit down, and go, dude, I want this built, and show them the Great Pyramid of Egypt. I need this. I need it 42 stories tall, and I need 2.5 million blocks cut out of limestone. I need some tunnels dug. I need a red granite room in the middle, and I need it to last 5,000 years. I want this. And how much will it cost? And how long will it take? Right? And let some engineers just sit down, real engineers, right, from Purdue, some heavy dudes, sit down and calculate and go, okay, we can do it. We can't do it. This is how much it would cost. This is how long it would take. This is where the limestone will come from. This is how we would transport it in. We would have freighters, and we would have trucks, and we'd have this and this many employees, and so forth. Sit down and actually do this, right? Let's figure things out. Let's question things. That is what I want Fade to Black to be. I want people to respect this show. I don't want people to, if you go up and say, you listen to Fade to Black and you listen to Jimmy Church, they spin around and go, you know what? That dude was lying. That dude said this. That dude is fear porn. That guy, no, that's not what we are about here. All right? Are we in this together? Are we in here for the good fight? I think that we are. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Take a quick break. When I come back, Tom Edison and his new book, Connecting the Dots. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow me on Twitter @jchurchradio. And I'll be right back with Tom Edison. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. In a world of GMO, genetically modified organisms, that is, chemicals, processed foods, and a healthcare system that's unraveling like a cheap suit, it's time to prepare. God created herbs, and herbs help man. Our body can heal itself, just sometimes we need assistance. You need some help? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our mild detox is quite powerful with its unique blend of 8 different herbs. And if you're looking for more, our non-GMO supplements will help you with different needs you might have. Health should be a top priority. Take care of your health naturally. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Give your body a treat. Let the herbs do their thing naturally. Read all the testimonies on the website, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Sickness and viruses are like intruders, and herbs are like warriors. Let the tea work for you. That's GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Tom Edison. During the break, I went down the hall into Rita's studio, right? And she's watching the bunker cam, and she goes, "Are you smoking in there?" And I go, "No." And she goes, "Look," and there's smoke. And I go, "Dude, I'm burning incense." And I walk back into the bunker, and this place is full of smoke, but it's incense. It smells good. I had no idea. It looks like a nightclub in here. All right. Tom Edison, a dedicated writer and author, has completed his most recent book. It's called Connect the Dots Theory. It's an eye-catching and in-depth investigative look at the extremely complex, multidimensional reality that exists right now on planet Earth. Connecting the Dots Theory correlates the underlying mechanics of physical reality and other hidden factors to solve many classic riddles of life. I've got the book right here. I'll pop it up right here on the cam so you guys can see it. There it is, Connecting the Dots Theory. From revealing to the world the first view of the most significant-looking unidentified hovering spacecraft ever captured on 35mm film, to the perfect light energy manifestations of the famous Twin Towers that automatically appear within any 2 adjacent crystal-clear pyramids. The many 35mm photos and their enlargements substantiate the numerous conclusions within Connect the Dots Theory. And I would like to welcome, for the first time, to Fade to Black, author Tom Edison. Tom, good evening.
Good evening. What a pleasure. What a pleasure it is to be here.
Yeah, the pleasure is all ours, Tom. And before, we're going to go backwards and start at the beginning. But before we do that, you get the first-time guest disclaimer on Fade to Black, your first-time guest. And that disclaimer is this. This is just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where we start, we start. Where we end, but we're going to end as friends. You ready to go?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Let's, I actually kind of want to start here. You live in New York. You live in New York City. What part of New York do you live in?
Staten Island. One of the 5 boroughs.
One of the 5 boroughs. Love Staten Island, by the way. Great.
Oh, you've been there, huh?
Oh, man. New York. We just got back from New York, actually. We were just out there filming for the new TV show. And I'll just say this, and I know that you live there, so you get this vibe. But Rita and I spent 5 days in the fall, right? Walking and hanging out. We hit every restaurant. We ate 5 times a day. We slept maybe 2 or 3 hours a night. Every time we got back to the hotel, and I'm not joking, it didn't matter if it was 2 a.m., got back to the hotel and we'd go up to the room. We're like, man, there's too much stuff going on out there. Let's go. And we just turn right.
That's right.
Yeah.
In New York, they stay up all night.
It is truly a 24-hour city. I remember this one specific moment, and this, unless you've been to New York, you just don't get it. But we were in a cab and we're riding back to the hotel. It's 4 a.m, right? And we're riding back and just looking out the windows. And all the bars are open. People are on the streets. People are eating, walking, talking. It is truly a city that never shuts down. It's incredible. And so if you're anybody that likes to do things, New York is not the place for you to be because you'll literally never sleep or rest.
Well, that's Manhattan is the 24-hour city. The other parts of the boroughs, they go to bed at night.
Right.
Except at some exclusive places where they have the all-night parties going too. But Manhattan never stops. They've written songs about that. I think Lewis had a song like that one time. Where else can you do 500,000 things all at 2:45?
Yep. And it really and the other thing is this that I love about New York before we move on. The culture there, the social side of things, there is so much to do all the time. You do have certainly the best food, but you have the best museums and you have the theater district and sports and just things to do all the time. You can just literally go and do something. And
absolutely.
Yeah, for the most part, you can just walk. You can just walk for, another thing, Rita and I were talking about New York yesterday or the day before. And I said, do you remember we were walking up the street and it doesn't matter. I think we were on 7th Avenue. We were over by Madison Square Garden. And it doesn't matter where you are, what street, you look up and there's a really cool building there. And they don't have to be tall. They're just cool and they're old. And we were photographing buildings just because there wasn't any.
I know. I know. There's so many buildings you couldn't photograph them all in a week.
Oh, they're everywhere. It's just amazing. It doesn't matter what street you're on. There's something really cool to see. Love New York. In
fact, did you get a good look at the Freedom Tower?
Yeah, we did. We went down to Freedom Tower. Our experience down there was pretty unique. We got down there at night, and they had just closed the elevator, so we couldn't go up, right? And that was part of the goal, and we missed it by 5 minutes or something. They just shut it down. There were people still in line to ride up, but they closed the doors. But anyway, what was unique for us about that area was how solemn it is. There's no riffraff down there. Everybody's just walking around, and it's very quiet. And I think everybody is still absorbing, what actually took place there. Because you look up, with the 2 footprints of the fountains that are there.
Yeah.
You go up and you just look up in the air and you just imagine the 2 World Trade Centers were actually right here and how big they were. And now it's all gone. It's a pretty intimidating experience. And so anyway, we were there. I'll share this with you before we move on. So we're there. And this family comes up. And I'm going to say that they were tourists, but from the Middle East or something going on like that.
Yeah, they were tourists.
Yeah, and the kids, there was a mother and father and about 4 or 5 kids, and some of the kids were running around and making noise, and the dad goes, "Shh, shh." I was like, wow. It's like, man, do you know where?
Yeah, this is New York. You don't have to worry about that.
But he shushed the kids, man. He was like, don't be playing here. We can go play somewhere else. But here, you're going to show respect. And it was pretty interesting to see that go on down there. It was, it's a pretty strange moment, but beautiful though. The museum, the fountains, and the way that they've got it set up, it's pretty incredible. And this is the other thing. I don't think that most people know that where the World Trade Centers were, that's a pretty high-end area, right? That's the money district, and it's a big money area.
Yeah, it's about 5 blocks from Wall Street.
It's a big money area. You can look around and you can see where you're at. It's like the Beverly Hills section of Manhattan, right? And that's I cannot imagine what the people were going through that day. I just can't. And for you, were you in Staten Island? Where were you on 9/11?
Yeah, I was not far from there, so I could look out and I could see what was happening to the buildings. Actually, when I first heard about it, I had just come from the diner eating breakfast in my car, and all of a sudden I hear on the radio, like, I go, what? And then I come home, I turn on the TV, only channel 2 was on, and, I'm looking out. You could see the smoke for miles. I drove over to Jersey because you could see a great perspective view from there because you got a clear view of downtown Manhattan, and it was smoking away, and it was like that for days. And it was only one TV station on, so it was a pretty traumatic thing. But let's get back to the Freedom Tower. We'll talk about that later because the Freedom Tower, I reveal some important knowledge in revisiting 9/11 tragedy, and there's a geometric, multidimensional connection to all of this.
Well, let's start.
But I'll get into that later.
Sure. Let's actually start with the book. Tell us about it, and why did you decide to write this book now? Okay.
I forget the best way to go through that is it's just like it's got a table of contents page, and the first chapter is what connect the dots theory is all about. It explains how I got started, then the events that led to the foundation of the theory. But the theory went beyond just discovering the sparkling points of light that hover in the air out in the wilderness, I talked for years to people about this before I even wrote anything down, and nobody could explain it to me. So I had to do a lot of investigative work, and that leads to chapter 3. One thing leads to another. So then I had so many things coming in connecting. That's why the book's called Connect the Dots. It's gone beyond just revealing to the world my discovery of these phenomenal things that float in the air. They look like sparklers. And eventually, including all these other things, like Chapter 4 became the explanation as to why things are the way they are. Because everything is related. I was uncovering all this behind-the-scenes things. And then I got into looking at shapes and understanding shapes, and that led to the chapter Mark of the False Gods and their geometric control markers, which there's a lot to talk about on that. And then in delving in geometry, I saw there was a connection to God. So the purpose of putting that in the book was to show all these atheists that, if I can show you there's a geometric connection to a single source creation of all there is, you can no longer say that there's no logic here, because you're not going to be able to knock down my geometric connection, and it's quite common sense based. And then I go into the teachings incorporated into games. Like I said, one thing led to another, and I started seeing that games were teaching us hidden realities. Once I started discovering the hidden realities, because I had to go searching everywhere to try to find out how I could possibly explain to people in some common sense language about my discovery of the sparkling points of light. And that led to other things. Then I included crystals, chakras, numbers, DNA, pyramids, crop circles. And all of these things, they're connective, and the main two connective things of all of these things is basically they're geometrical and they're vibrational. And that's the basic interweave of connecting all these things. So I might talk about 100 different things in the book, and then at the end, the final chapters, like chapter 12, was philosophical connections, because gaining all this information, I got philosophical too when I put some of my philosophical thoughts down. And then also I list 39 conspiracies against the common, ongoing conspiracies. And I stopped at 39 because you got to draw the line somewhere. Otherwise, I probably went up to way over 100, but I didn't want to go too far in that area because that's not what the book is really about. But in connecting the conspiracies, they relate to the other things of geometry being used for mind control, and hiding the facts, not wanting to talk the truth, and there's 39 I list there. So anyhow, basically, with all that information in there, I'm going to quote myself here on page 2 of chapter 1, which is the chapter called "What Connected the Dots Theory is All About." I make a statement that there is enough correlated information in this all-encompassing theory to provide the concerned and caring people of planet Earth, that's us, with the pertinent knowledge needed to end the ongoing wrongful manipulation of mankind.
Well, that's exactly
an important point.
Well, that's exactly what this show is about, Tom. And I speak about what this book is about before this book was written. I speak about it all the time. That everything, when we go back and to the beginning of history and lost history and lost civilizations and how that information has been kept from us, not only deliberately, but because we don't know. Right, we don't know the true progenitors or the true sources of so many different things. That that dogma has been given to us through education and so forth over the years, and then everything connects out from that. It all permeates right through to modern history and the media and other events of today. How everything is absolutely connected. When I say today that conspiracy is the new normal, it's books like yours and the other researchers out there that are bringing this information forward that tells us we're not being told everything, and we're certainly not being told the truth. Everything is related.
Absolutely.
And everything is connected.
Absolutely. Public education is one of the listed conspiracies I put down. Because it is. They just want to tell you enough to send you out in the workforce to become a worker slave. And basically, that's another little thing I included in the book. In one of my chapters, I put the words to a song I had written about, about 7, 8 years ago. It's called "The Common Man." I just listed it as a poem because it speaks about the tragedy of how we've been manipulated.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's start here. What was the first clue for you? You were talking about the spots of light and sparkles that you were seeing out there. Was that where things started? And if it was, what is it that you think you were seeing?
Okay, that's exactly where it started. I went to a gathering out in the wilderness, and I don't know if people are familiar with gatherings. They have them in the state parks or the national parks, and there's no light in these places whatsoever. You are out in total darkness, and the only light is like the drum circles they set up around a fire. And basically, all of a sudden, I started noticing weird things, and I have the complete story in chapter 2, the events that led to the foundation of this theory. And basically, first I started, I guess I was telepathically communicated to, because something popped into my mind that, a normal human being isn't going to think of. And the thought that popped into my mind was that I was being analyzed by something or someone that was making comment on my DNA and referring to me that I was good breeding material. We as humans, we don't think about things like that. How many people really think of themselves as good breeding material? That sounds like aliens looking to, do some genetic manipulation with my body, and it rightfully brought a little fear into me. And I started looking up in the sky like, where's the mothership or something, because this doesn't sound good, that something or somebody is eyeing me up. And then the more I looked into the sky, the more I noticed that there seems to be a lot of stars out here. And I had always heard all my life that out in the wilderness, there's more stars in the sky. But what was really unusual, some of these stars were a different color. They were copper looking, and they seem to extend down. I've got pretty good night vision, and I've got pretty good day vision too, and they seem to be forming a geometric pattern coming out of the sky. And then I realized, this can't be stars. This is something that looks like stars, but they're forming geometric patterns and extending out of the sky. And then I started looking around more and more, and then different groups of people were going different places, and another thought popped in my mind. I was watching the people around the drum circle fire, and again, it had to be telepathic communication. It told me, just go lay down on the grass away from the fire, like people make falling angels in the snow. When you just fall down into it, you make an impression.
Right.
So I just did that. And that got me staring at the sky some more. And then, I got up and like, what is going on here? I asked people, and nobody really was paying attention to everything I was noticing, because nobody was looking up in the sky.
Well, Tom, let me jump in here really quick. What was this gathering? What was the purpose of this gathering?
This was this particular gathering was it's basically a Native American tribe gathering, the gathering of the tribes. So I was asking questions all night, and basically the elders of the tribes who show up at these events, they're told by, I guess, the spirit beings that are hovering up in the sky there where to set the event up, and it happens every year. And this was my first time in a place like this, but nobody had any detailed explanations about what this all was. They were saying, yeah, we know there's a lot of stars, and it wasn't providing any explanations. So anyhow, two people were going off into the distance, and this is all pitch black nighttime, and they had a flashlight with them. They said, hey, we're going over to the other drum circle, a small one. So I followed them over. Now, as I got to this other drum circle, we were going through this real spooky place. Let me tell you, the weeds were like 6 feet high, so you couldn't see over them as we're going through the weeds. And I'm just following these other three people with a flashlight, and still thinking about what's going on here. And we come through the clearing, and there's a small little fire there, and a couple of people playing a musician playing an instrument, and other people, about 3 or 4 people only sitting around the fire, and the other 3 people I went with, they just went over to the fire. But again, a weird thought pops in my head, like, wow, maybe, these are like Native American people. Maybe they don't want me, a paleface, coming over to their little gathering off on the side here. So I stayed back about 30 feet, and I'm still looking up in the sky because, from that first idea that I might be abducted for breeding material or something, and I noticed this strange structure. I have a picture of it in the book. I had to draw it because I wasn't. I didn't have a camera with me, anything, and it was coming down like a ventilation shaft with all crinks in it, and it came out of a rip in the sky, an invisible rip. And its geometric structure was outlined by these sparkling points of light, and they came down to about a distance of about 10 to 12 feet above the ground level. So I turned back and looked at the people in the fire to see if they noticed this, and in less than like 15 seconds, I turned around, and this thing that was 20 feet away from me now is only 5 feet from me, and now it's almost getting scary. Is this thing going to swoop down and suck me up into the sky or something? And I could see the sparkling points of light, and I also could see there was it looked like energy connecting lines between these sparkling points of light. And they were just like the other things I had seen coming out of the sky. They were gold, like copper gold colored, something like the color of a sparkler. That's why I ended up calling them sparkling points of light. And they're just hovering there. But they don't hover in a fixed position. They kind of waver in the wind like a spider web would waver in the wind.
Now, this was, Tom, we're going to hit a break right here. I got a quick question. This was back in 1995. Were you guys doing any, were you guys smoking or drinking, or was all of this just happening natural?
Well, I can't speak for anybody else, basically, but yeah, I'd say it's pretty well naturally happening. When I pointed the lights out to people, they could see it. I mean,
right.
And at these events, they don't allow anything like drinking to go on, really. I mean, you can go there, smoke pot and stuff like that. But these people come to these events, they're going there for a spiritual experience,
Right.
They're not going there to get wasted.
Well, and I was just looking at the book here at your illustrations, and it's interesting how you've got this illustrated here where you were seeing these points of light with the connections of, I don't know how to explain it, but you've got dotted lines here, and that's what I was looking at really quick.
Yeah, there was it reminded me of like a faint energy arc. Now, like if this was in a regular neighborhood or something, none of this would probably see because this stuff all looked very low candle power. It's only because we're out in the pitch black darkness that these things were visible, I believe, to the extent they were. So anyhow, back at the fire there, I don't know. I got over my fear for a second, and this thing is only 5 feet away from me, and I keep looking back because I think it's going to swoop down and suck me up or something like a vacuum cleaner. And I decided to walk underneath it and look up in it, mindful that I might have to just bolt and run if the thing comes in any closer to me.
Right.
And when I looked up underneath it, I could see like a swirling mist up inside of it.
Well, I got to take a break right here, so let's go ahead and do that. Our guest tonight is Tom Edison. His new book is Connect the Dots Theory. We're talking about the very first time where he observed what he was going to write about. Our guest tonight, Tom Edison. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. More with Tom right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Kat Deely, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Sobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Well, yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code TALK.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go right now by clicking on the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. It'll take you straight to getthetea.com. Just mention Jimmy when you order, either online or over the phone, and you're going to get free shipping. Our guest tonight is Tom Edison. His new book is Connect the Dots Theory. And Tom, right before the break, you were telling us about how this all started to come together at this gathering back in 1995. And one of the things that you mentioned there, and I want to go back and visited this comment, was that you felt like you were being observed or read, or that you were possibly the right guy, right? What made you think that? Do you think there was some type of telepathic communication to ET? Is that what I'm understanding?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's a thought. You know, regular human beings don't think of themselves as being good breeding material. You know, it's just a thought we wouldn't be thinking about. And for something like that to pop in my mind, that I was being evaluated by some obviously higher intelligence that could read my DNA, even though I didn't see anybody around, and nor I couldn't see anything in the sky. So it was being done at a great distance, whatever this evaluation was, how it was being done. And, you know, I didn't think about it as being telepathic communication. I just thought of it was kind of freaky. and scary in a certain way, and it made me look in the sky like, where's the UFOs and the aliens? Because I know they do abductions. I had heard about that before.
Right. Well, up to this point, Tom, let me ask you this.
I'm pretty confident I had to come to that conclusion after the fact, and
Tom,
after it happened to me numerous other times.
Right. Well, Tom, let me ask you this. Up to this point in 1995, had you had a sighting in the sky? Had you had any contact before, or your family? Did they talk about this, or was this just completely new for you?
Yeah, the whole evening at this event, it was completely new. I'm looking at things I never even heard people talk about, let alone had the opportunity to see. And when I spent most of the night asking other people, all I got was vague answers. When I would point things out, you see all those bright stars there? And I'd get vague answers, yes, it's God, or something like that. And nobody was being helpful because I wanted to know what is going on here, And the only thing I could find out was the fact that these events are orchestrated by the leaders of the tribes, Native American tribes that participate in them, and they are told by the spirit world or their ET friends where to go to have the next one. And I was introduced to crystals that night, too, because I started hanging out with the group called the Gatekeepers. They hang out by the gate where the entrance to the event is happening at to greet people when they show up and let them know, yeah, you're here. So I spent a couple hours, in fact, I spent the dawn talking with the people hanging out there. Somebody had a guitar, and I play guitar too. And so we're all passing the guitar around and singing songs. And before the end of the night, this woman, who I met at other events later, she gave me 2 little crystals. And I asked her, I knew nothing about crystals then. I mean, now I know quite a lot about them. I have a crystal collection. I says, what do I do with them? It's 2 little crystals. And all she could say was, you look at them.
Right.
Okay, so, I'm like totally green to all this stuff out there, and I'm trying to get answers, and nobody has any answers. But, go back to where I was looking at these points of light coming down. It looks like it was a distorted vacuum cleaner that might suck me up or something. I have the picture there drawn from memory, and I've got a pretty good memory, and the picture in the book is pretty much exactly how it looked. It's bent. It's it's got a little wave of a mist floating in it, and that picture accurately shows about how close I was to the fire there. Where somebody he was playing a drumming. So lo and behold, as I'm keep looking back and forth to make sure this thing doesn't swoop down and suck me up somehow, because I'm a little wary of it. All of a sudden, the people I came there with had the flashlight. Say, "Oh, we're going back." So I immediately, yeah, I'm coming with you, because I wasn't going to be staying out there alone with this thing. And I followed them back through the weeds, these 6-foot tall weeds, which went for a couple of blocks. And you couldn't even see where you were going to come out, and then you finally come out in the other field where the big drum circle was. All the way, I'm looking behind me, make sure this thing isn't following me or following us to suck us up. So I talked to people the rest of the night, and I started hanging out with the gatekeepers, they call them, because somebody had a guitar there, and they were passing around, so everybody got to play a song or two. And some unusual things happened there, which eventually, not that year, but years later, led to another, we can call it mind contact, where something invisible, they're contacting you. And a conversation starts. You're not talking, you're thinking thoughts back and forth. So there was this guy there that night while we're all passing the guitar around. And he had the gift of gab and knew how to, everything he said was funny, And a couple of years later, I realized that I came in contact with that same spirit being. It's in the book too, and later on, as I retrospected, something happened in '97. I knew I was in contact with that same spirit being telepathically, because on that particular night I started telling jokes, and no matter what I said, everybody laughed at it. And it was like it was my invisible partner, kind of like, and perhaps that's what the Twilight Zone episode, the famous one with the dummy. Perhaps that's what's really happening with a dummy is a spirit is talking to the dummy, giving the guy the joke lines.
Well, what's interesting here is the combination of the stars from the sky, and you starting to see these connected, the crystals and the introduction to that started you on your journey about how everything is connected. What ended up happening next after this gathering, and you've experienced this vacuum situation, the stars, the lines between the stars, now crystals. What happened next that made you realize that things are indeed connected?
Well, it was a long project. It took 15 years to finally get all the pieces together where I could adequately explain with common language, because this book is designed for average people to read. It's not for scientists. It's for truth seekers like myself that want to learn more about how things are connected and what the real story is about why everything is the way it is. So the next thing, well, actually, there was one more important thing that happened that night. The dawn was coming up, and then as soon as the dawn came up, I noticed that all the lights that I was able to see protruding out of the sky, as soon as the daylight came, they all disappeared, which told me, just common sense, that they had to be such low candle power that the daylight makes them invisible. So if this phenomenon was happening in broad daylight, there would be no way really to tell it was happening, because the power of the sunlight would cover it all, as if nothing was there. So the sun was coming up, and we all decided, well, let's go back to our cars or campers, and it's time to go to bed, after being up all night. So this particular girl, she was the one who had the guitar. She was there with her boyfriend. She just comes over, like her and her boyfriend were going back to their camper. She comes over and gives me a hug, just a casual thing like that. But when she gave me that hug, I don't know whether she was some superhuman or what, I felt something I had never felt in my life. It was like a charge of 10,000 volts was just shot into my body, but it was a good feeling, a loving feeling. It didn't harm me. It just felt unbelievably good, and I could feel the energy pulse into every cell of my body just with this one simple hug she gave me for about 3 seconds. I mean, that's still kind of an unexplained thing, how this girl was just seemed like an average girl could do something like that, but she obviously must have been some kind of a evolved human. And now, in retrospect, she could have been a visitor,
Right. And what does that tell you at this point? Because you've never had these experiences before. Are you starting to look at the world completely different, that things just aren't what they seem, are they?
Oh, of course. I look at it completely different, especially on all the things that came my way from that first night to where it is today. One thing led to another, and is kind of like I experienced that ancient metaphysical statement that says when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And I have had a lot of teachers, a lot of things just presented in front of me that kept adding to the picture, and more things became connected to more things. So anyhow, after this event, I'm going talking to everybody. I mean, when you talk to somebody the next day, tell them what happened to you. Of course, and everybody I talked to, nobody had a clue as what I was even talking about. And
what were you trying to tell them? What that you
I was
saw?
trying to tell them what I saw, what I experienced, and like all I got was nothing but stupid guesses. That was fireflies you were looking at, or something like that.
Right. Well, continue. So what I find interesting here is that now that you've had this moment of enlightenment, did you try to go and make contact again? Did you go back out and start looking at the stars? I do the same thing now, right? I've seen strange things, and now when I go outside, I immediately look up and I'm expecting or hoping that I'm going to see something or make some contact. Is that what happened to you?
Well, it didn't happen right away, but sure, I continued to go to these type of events when they were nearby, and I talk about it all in the book, and that's where I took the pictures at other places I went to. Eventually, I had to learn, I wanted to get pictures of this rather than just draw drawings. So I knew nothing about photography, so I bought a book on how to take night photography, and then bought myself a camera to go out and start doing it. And eventually I got the pictures. I originally started out just looking for the sparkling points of light, and in the book, in Chapter 2, I have an excellent photo that depicts these things hovering above the grass that are clearly visible to anyone who's there. But what really became amazing and opened the doors to more information was the other things I was capturing on the film that weren't visible were even more astounding. So
how big are these points of light?
They are about the size of a firefly. And so naturally, when I told people that, they say, "Oh, well, you were looking at fireflies." Yeah, sure.
Right. What do you think they are?
Well, I explained it in the book. The conclusion I've come to that these are floating, hovering focal points of energy, and and they're outlining a portal that's being opened up into our reality from who's ever up there. Later, when I started taking pictures, I realized that there were spacecraft up there at these events. They're up so high that you can't see them really with your naked eye, but when you get the photographs and you do enlargements on the photograph, all of a sudden they're there. So what I had surmised first with my first telepathic communication, where's the mothership, my hunch was right. There are ships up there at these events, and they're the ones who are opening up these portals. They're the ones who are projecting these sparkle points of light energy to open up a portal to do whatever they're doing, whether it's all scientific investigation. And obviously, I've met numerous people that they don't seem like they're average humans like us. They're like humanoid looking, look just like us, but they're of like that girl that gave me the hug with all the voltage in it. She had to be from another human race, a superior human race, to be able to project that and do it so casually and then just walk away like nothing happened.
This is interesting. So the points of light are outlining an entrance or portal that are going up to these bigger spacecraft that are up in the sky? And if that is the case, who is using the portals? And are they inviting us?
I would believe it would be either, like in my case, they were thinking of maybe abducting me for using as breeding material, or they're there to as kind of set up a remote viewing system, or for humanoid creatures that are on these craft to come down and mingle with us, and that's why they would be there for those particular reasons. In fact, there's even more astounding things I've seen at these events, but I had to make a choice. I don't even want to get into it because it's not in the book, but there was even some more amazing things floating around in the air. I had a camera with me then. It was about 1998, and I was too engrossed in what was happening. I wanted to watch and experience all these amazing things and feel the earth and just get the feeling for it rather than just be the documentary filmmaker. So I didn't go back to my car and get the camera then. I should have, but I didn't. And because I didn't go, I got to experience some other phenomenal thing that I speak about. But let me go back to, I came home from the event a day or two later, and I'm talking to everybody I know. Nobody has any information to me, and this went on for months. All of a sudden, at the particular time, I had a house I was renting out to some people. They were, kind of low class, no money, kind of like your average, what's commonly referred to as trailer trash people. Not that they were bad people, but the kind of people that would just like their idea of life is come home, get drunk, and watch something stupid on TV. So they eventually couldn't pay the rent, so I had to throw them out. And they wrecked the apartment. If you know anything about landlords, it's trouble renting to people because they wreck your property.
Right.
So the apartment was wrecked. I couldn't rent it out right away, and I'm cleaning up the apartment, and then there's this book laying on the floor, and I didn't think anything of it. And the name of the book, I don't mind giving a plug for this book because it's almost impossible to find nowadays. This book was called The Crystal Connection. It had pictures of crystals on the front. And I know close to nothing about crystals, but as I'm cleaning up the apartment, the book just sat there. And I thought, well, let me just open it up and see if there's any interesting pictures, because that's the kind of book reader I am. I open up a book, I like to look at the pictures, which is not a bad thing to do. You can learn things from pictures. So as I'm just browsing through, looking to see about crystals, because I had been given two tiny crystals, and I thought, well, maybe I can learn something about these crystals, because nobody had really instructed me what to do with them. I come across this page in the book where there's this linear depiction of something very similar to what I had seen at the event.
Really? Really?
Yeah. Except it wasn't exactly like I seen it.
Well, what was it? What was the picture of?
Yeah, I mentioned it in the book. It was a linear depiction of the nesting pattern for the Platonic solids. If your listeners happen to know, there's 5 basic Platonic solids, different shapes. A dodecahedron. An octahedron.
Right. So you see this in the
tetrahedron. So this picture had them all nesting in the same shape, all mixed together and all combined together, and so it had a lot of points, and it had a lot of connecting dots. Like I saw the energy lines, faint energy lines from the things I had seen. So I thought, wow, this is close. It's not exactly, but maybe I should start reading this book. And sure enough, I started reading it, and boy, this was a high-tech book written by some really scientists that know their physics. And I was learning from reading this book. It was extremely hard to read because it used all these technical terms, so I had to keep going to dictionaries and finding out what were they referring to. And they we're talking about energy focusing through focal points of light. And that kind of, that's how I came to my conclusion in my book, that from their investigations that they were getting information, they were in contact with people from other realms, and they were getting this information about high-tech science, how the higher reality can focus energy through focal points of light. So that's why I surmise that these things I saw coming out of the sky, it was energy, connective energy lines going through these hovering focal points of light, just like explained in the book by these scientists who were really whizzes. And they taught, so that was my beginning of gaining an understanding, and that caught me on to the importance of geometry. And then I started looking, noticing geometry everywhere. And that led to my second find. Meanwhile, nobody's helping me at all with just taking wild guesses when I try to explain it. But I keep trying. So my second discovery was, here's another commercial for New York City. I was at the American Museum of Natural History, a place I have gone. My parents took me there from childhood, and I always go back there. There's so much to see there. And I'm walking through the Gem and Rock Museum, and then there's a diagram there of showing the structure of rock, silicates, being made with tetrahedrons that form a lattice pattern that make hexagons. And I thought, wait, that's kind of some of the stuff I saw. Again, here's another similar connection. We got points, and we got dotted lines representing energy flow. And so there was another thing. Meanwhile, I'm still reading the crystal connection. I mean, I could go through only like 3 or 4 pages a day. It was such high-tech stuff, but I've always been good naturally with science and math, and I took physics in high school. I never went beyond that. And I took algebra and stuff like that. So I knew something about science and mathematics. And I also took geometry in high school, too, never knowing that I would be making use of it in writing a book. So that brought me into considering crystals. Then I started going to stores where they would sell crystals. And I started talking to the people there, and then they told me, they weren't able to explain what I saw either, but they were giving me other clues to where to get more information. And then I started buying books on crystals. Then I started experimenting with crystals. Then I finally told my story to somebody who was a clairvoyant woman. All this story I'm telling here, it's in the book, in a very orderly fashion. This clairvoyant woman who was a friend of a friend, and I thought, well, maybe she would be able to give me the answer I'm looking for. What did I see? I explained it to her, and she says, no, I can't tell you what you actually did see, but I tell you what, I'm going to give you a free pass to go with this conference thing, lecture. And so I went there, and then there was more connections, because there I met the guy who was on the time travel project, and he was talking about pyramids. Oh, and this woman lent me a book on pyramids, too, so I started learning more about geometry. Everything was beginning to connect little by little. So I understood the connection already is geometry, it's light, it's energy, it's points, focal points of energy, and the pieces were coming together, but I still wasn't able to explain it to anybody. And then when I went to the guy who was lecturing on the time travel project, you might have heard of it, the Montauk project.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I was learning more then. I was learning about our secret government and how they took him out of school when he was 10 years old and trained him to do the remote viewing with somebody else to bring these guys back out of time from the 1943 Philadelphia experiment. And he was talking a lot about the shapes, and he was talking about how this lecture, I think, was in 96 probably, or not, something like that. And he was talking about how the government utilizes geometric shapes. They have their delta T broadcasting antennas, which essentially is a pyramid with a reverse upside-down pyramid attached to it on the bottom, making an octahedron shape, and that's good for broadcasting. And by reading the book on the pyramids and reading the book of the Crystal Connection, I found out that pyramids are automatic energy attractors and broadcasters. It just happens naturally. So then I started
hold on, Tom. I got to take a break right here. That's a really great point, and I do remember that, too, as well. Very interesting that you made that connection. I don't think I ever did. Our guest tonight is Tom Edison. His book is Connect the Dots Theory. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Tom right after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Oh, fall. My favorite time of year. Cooler temperatures and, well, let's be honest, layers. Lots and lots of layers. Look, I get it. We all have that favorite hoodie. Matter of fact, I've got a few favorite hoodies. You should wear yours. Enjoy it. I do. But I stay focused on my health year-round. And for me, I take Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. I eat right, control my portion sizes, still maintain a commitment to regular fitness, and I get plenty of rest, and I take Nature's Youth RSF. It's okay to cover up your beach body for a few months, but don't just forget about it. Nature's Youth understands exactly what it means to provide top-quality health products, and Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain peak performance levels and fight the aging process. So layer up and get started today with Nature's Youth RSF. nature'syouth.com. Simple to use, even simpler to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code TALK.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Tom Edison. His new book is Connect the Dots Theory. This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. It's dark, complex, and it's smoky. Let's go to the River Moon Coffee banner right now at jimmychurchradio.com. Use the promo code F2BBLEND, and you're going to get 15% off of your order. All right, Tom, before we run out of time, I kind of want to jump forward a little bit because this is a good spot to do it. As you're starting to make these geometric observations in life and around you, Rita and I have been watching this documentary series right now. It's called The Code. And it is about the math and that involves everything. And part of that is the geometric patterns in life. And it's a very interesting part of everything that is around us. And you started to see this. But this also connects to gaming or chess or God or so many other different elements. Is that what you started to observe?
I started to observe everything that was geometric, and I started reading other books. And every book I read, I would go to the bookstore, and I would just, look. And I always picked the right book, as if I was being guided. And I believe there is a consciousness, and I stated in my theory there that overseas there are universal coordinators of events. And I was really learning at a fast pace, and so geometrically speaking, I started learning. Whenever I would talk to somebody would recommend a book, and I got into reading about the Pleiadians, and that led me to the 12 Planet book. And then I would go to the bookstores, and if I saw a cover that had geometries on it, I would buy it because I wanted to. I was hoping that the explanation for what I was to explain all this might be in one of these geometric books. And lo and behold, I picked up this book called I started connecting the information in the books to what I was discovering personally, and I came up with more correlations. And I picked up this book called Necronomicon. It's supposed to be a sorcerer's handbook. It was in the bookstore and it had all geometric pictures on the cover, you know. And I learned quite a bit in that book about how these people who practice black magic, that when they do their events, they're using geometric symbols, because you can connect with things with different geometric symbols. And then I started connecting that book with what I learned from the 12 Planet, with the behavior of the false gods, and I started looking at some of the pictures that they use for representation, and I started noticing that numbers are an important thing to look at also, because I was reading another book that explained that the anything connected with the numbers 3 or 7 or any combinations of them are spiritual. Now, the one number, like in the 1 through 10, that doesn't connect with spiritual reality, you know, the good side of the spiritual world, which is the sources of creation. The one number that doesn't connect with 3 and 7 is 8. You know, it just doesn't fit. You know, and I noticed the number 8 was connected with the false gods. They use that as symbology to represent their planet. And
wait. What do you mean by that? They were using the number 8.
Yeah, well, kind of like an asterisk. You know, where you make a plus sign, and they add 2 more plus signs diagonally to it, so they're like you're representing like a sparkling point or something like that. Well, I learned from in the 12 Planet book that on artifacts that were found that are the basis of the book, the representation of the gods who came to Earth, the Anunnaki or whatever you want to call them, Nibiruans, when there was depictions, drawings of them, there would always be in the corner an 8-pointed asterisk, you know, like a plus sign. And I
got you. Right.
Right, and then 2 diagonal lines. So the number 8 was connected to, they were false gods, they weren't the real God. And then I seen a similar connection to the number 8 in the Necronomicon book. They were using squares over squares, which creates an 8-pointed star. If you take a square and then you twist another square at a 45-degree angle and put one over top of the other, you have an 8-pointed star. And then I started noticing where these things were occurring. And I came to some startling discoveries that when you see an 8-pointed star, or as the phrase goes, the box over the box, in a geometrics put into a building or on a label or something like that, that's representing the anti-God forces. Because what I learned for a while, for 9 years, I studied the Bible. because I wanted to find out, what connections are there, and it didn't satisfy me. I didn't have enough answers, didn't have enough explanations. But in the course of reading the Bible, just about the whole thing, it took me the 9 years to get through the whole thing, because I read slow and I correlate my notes from page to page. I make my comments. I noticed that in the building of the temples, that the ancient Jewish people were building, supposedly under the direction of God. The buildings had to be facing the true directions, and they were square or rectangle, and there was geometry showing up again. Some of the temples were one square next to another square to make a rectangle, but subdivided it would be two squares, one next to the other. And that's hidden scientific knowledge just in that fact alone that I've picked up in other books in more recent times. And so I started correlating this to shapes. Certain shapes would definitely be a representation, and my chapter in my book is called Mark of the False Gods, that when you see the number 8 or a geometric representation of the number 8, which would be the box over the box at the 45-degree angle, how I determined that was an identification mark was, and here I am connecting the dots on all the information I'm gathering here, was because if you, I had learned that the universe, you'd be surprised how much information is out there on the universe. It's getting ignored. That the universe is a very orderly place, and that there are circles of energy that connect, called the wheels of energy, that connect the whole universe, and connect the universe to what we know as the whole universe to other universes, and everything is connected by giant wheels of energy. And there are the universe is correlated to the 4 cardinal directions. So putting that all together, the building of the temples set up to the true cardinal directions, east, west, north, south, and I came to the conclusion, well, if you wanted to get, because we know that there's the anti-God creatures out there, if you wanted to get away, if you're focusing your energies to the true cardinal directions, you're going to connect with the real good universe. But if you wanted to set yourself up as a false god and not be connected with the real God, as far as you can get away in setting up a building is only 45 degrees away. Because all the cardinal directions are at 90-degree angles.
Right.
So you'd have to set something up at a 45-degree angle to identify yourself as being as far away as possible. And then I noticed, the more I looked around, I seen, people don't realize that the Nazis didn't invent the swastika. It was a symbol of good wellness before. Well, what they did with it was twisted it and displayed 45 degrees.
Right.
Angle.
Right.
And if we had, like what I'm talking about now, if we had been thinking about these things back then, we might have realized early on by their symbolism that that's a control marker of evil or a false god. And, there's a lot of information coming out now. They were connected to the dark side.
Right.
So then I even went further. More things kept coming in. I got, I was one of the last people to get a computer system and start going online and looking at things. And it was the time that the terrorists were really getting out of hand. So I don't know how I ended up on the site, but I just was surfing the web, and I picked up the site for the Kaaba, Mecca,
Yep.
Somehow I ended up on that, site. Not that I was really that interested in it, but I became interested in it because on that site they had a close-up picture of the black cube, and they had the degree angle of how the temple's set up, and it's almost set up exactly 45 degrees out of kilter.
That's right.
With the true directions, and as we know from we've all heard that Muhammad was trying to tell everybody that this is a false god temple, so it all fits. It definitely was built by the false gods under their direction to keep the people in line.
Well, and you know what else is
under their control,
Tom, and what else is interesting about that is on the one corner you have the piece of the meteorite that is there that everybody goes up and touches. And and that's at a
Guess what that
at a
connects
45.
with?
Absolutely,
that connects with another book I was reading called The Keys of Enoch, which is high-tech science information. That he was visited back in the author was visited. I met the guy personally. He's legit. He was a scientist who was contacted in 1972 by the higher reality. He was taken off the earth for a couple of days, and they programmed his mind to write this fantastic book.
Right.
And it's all high-tech science about the science that we don't really know about here on Earth, but that's the science they use to, we could say in Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty. Well, that's all a reality. There's a science behind it. And in that book, I learned, because it talks about the spiritual aspects, that why there's problems in the universe, because there's an anti-God rebellion that's still going on. There's anti-God creatures, and they have their head cut in our neck of the universe, so to speak, or constellations. They have their headquarters on the Little Dipper and parts of the Big Dipper. And the real headquarters is on the star Polaris, which is the handle of the Little Dipper. And so, again, it's connecting more things. Why is there so much evil here? Well, if that's the headquarters of evil on the Earth, we're stuck revolving around that's the North Star.
Right. That's
We've been like that for. That makes it convenient for them.
Right.
To zoom in on us because we're always within reach. We're revolving around their headquarters. So I noticed when I'm looking at that close-up picture that they had on the internet I was looking at, and I had a good camera at the time, so I thought, well, let me just take a picture of this. And sure enough, I got a pretty decent picture where I could see that these stones placed there look like the shape of the Little Dipper. And sure enough, eventually, the author of the book, I met him at a lecture, and I told him about that, and I showed him the picture, and he goes, "Yeah, you're right. It is the Little Dipper. I see it, And I made the connection to him, and he says, "Yeah, that's good. You did a good connection there."
Well,
so what else is in that book? While I'm still on that book, they show you about how the higher reality can move into our reality, and they can watch and interact with 2 or 3 different realities at the same time.
Right.
And how they want to modulate our world to uplift us, which is in the process of happening now. We hear this from a lot of people. They put 2 cubes together. So when you go back to the Bible and they're telling you, they're telling the builders and the prophets they're talking to build this temple that's a perfect cube added to a perfect cube. They're indirectly revealing the hidden science behind how a lesser evolved reality is brought into a higher reality by the use of 2 cubes and broadcasting specific energies to them.
Before
so again,
Tom, let me
connecting.
Yeah, totally. And before we run out of time here, we've just got 10 minutes left. Is the manifestations of the Twin Towers that you refer to in the book here too? I want you to talk about that a little bit, and how did you see this the first time?
Again. In fact, right before I start that, since we only got 10 minutes left, I want to bring up just 2 important points that's in this book. First of all, with this book, I've coined new phrases that are for the purpose of the readers and all truth seekers to help us be able to describe things happening to us on Earth. And the phrases, the main ones are plans designed to fail, which describe what all the governments in the world are doing now, plans designed to fail. And I invented the term called the overseers of mankind, which is the higher reality that monitors and interacts with us. And it's obviously the higher reality that shows up at these gatherings, too. And then the other important thing, I redefined important definitions of words that have are not helping us. Like, you know, we all know the scientist's definition of proof, you know. Well, in this day and age, that definition is too limited. So I expanded the definition. I don't need authority to this. I'm taking my own authority to expand the definition of proof to include human intuition, all the things we perceive that we can't see, but our intuition tells us, our mind connects with it, and the testimonies of reoccurring similarity situations, like thousands of people have been abducted. We don't need to prove it. We have their testimonies is proof. And I changed the definition for truth to go beyond that. You know, too many people have been brainwashed into everything's right or wrong when most things are neither. It's a combination or a percentage of truth. That's an important ingredient we should all start using when we have discussions, especially things like this. And the third most important word that I changed was the word coincidence. Because you know, we think that coincidence happened by chance, but I'm just going to quote myself out of the book here. I redefined the word coincidence. I say connect the dots theory declares that the so-called coincidences are actually the coinciding of pre-planned events that have been purposely arranged to coincide at some point in the future. Powerful beings from the higher dimensions of our universe are the mastermind behind these coincidences, and there actually are universal coordinators that are looking at a bigger overview of everyone's life. So coincidences are created. Now that leads up to how I came up with the discovering the shapes of the buildings in the crystal pyramids. I'm sure plenty of your listeners know about crystals, have them, and there's all kinds of things you can do to cleanse them. You know, you can put them in solution with pennyroyal, or you can put them out in the sunshine. So I just happen to have these two almost identical size crystal pyramids sitting on the windowsill, gathering sun to clear them up a little. And as I'm walking by, they were sitting there. I walked by, and all of a sudden, as I'm looking down through the quarter angle, I said, "Whoa, that looks like the Trade Center buildings." You know, the once standing Trade Center buildings. And then I thought about it some more, and I went and took a picture of it to show everybody this is what automatically appears in these things. And that brought to mind why I reopened in my conspiracy page chapter. That's one of the first ones I deal with, reopening the 9/11 case, that the fact that there is no such thing as a coincidence happening by chance, they're being created. So that made me think that the bringing down of the buildings, first of all, the people who, the whole idea of even building those buildings, the people who designed to make two identical structures that close together had in mind that this would be good buildings that would be easily brought down, because all they would have to do is put two invisible pyramid shapes around each building, and of course the demolition to bring it down straight. But they really were brought down with the focusing of unlimited energy, because you can do that with a pyramid shape. And it's also I've learned that you don't have to have an actual pyramid to create the energy flow in a pyramid. All you have to do is create the 5 focal points of energy that define the shape, and the energy flow starts automatically. So, you know, people have said that the buildings were pulverized beyond dust, and with unlimited energy, you can actually disintegrate molecules to where they don't even exist anymore. And so that's part of the equation nobody ever talks about, that there was multidimensional physics, and the fact of the matter that was probably used to bring them down, in connection with bringing down the building, means they knew that from the start. that when they were drawing up the blueprints, whether it was in the 1950s or early 60s, that they had in mind that they were going to put two structures in Manhattan, that at some point in the future they were going to bring it down for some false flag operation for some secret agenda. And I believe I've hit the nail on the head with this one, because I know that energy can be focused through pyramids. And anybody can prove it to myself. It's in my book, too. You read it. It tells you how to make a cardboard pyramid. Even cardboard it works with. Just make a small cardboard pyramid, hollow on the inside, and you put a banana under there, and you'll watch it last for weeks. It won't go rotten. We know bananas go rotten.
Yeah, I remember the book. I remember the book Pyramid Power from the 70s.
Yeah. Oh, you want to hear something? I know that guy personally. I talk to him occasionally. He hasn't been able to get a hold of him lately, but we talked about pyramid power, and I told him how I made my discovery, and then he told me about his discoveries with that. And he was kind of impressed that I was able to discover this all on my own. And so there's another guy who knows a lot of high-tech information. And he has a website up and stuff. He sells good products for related to his high tech knowledge. He's a genius type person, but he's a down to earth person at the same time. So anyhow, that's what it's all about. And if people take a close look at New York City skyline now, there's three buildings with geometric shapes right next to the trade centers. They're all made of the same identical blocks, obviously all put up by the same construction company. And one has a pyramid on the top, one has a cut-off pyramid, and the other one has a dome on the top. And those shapes were definitely used as the focal points to create the energy, to create the focal point pyramids around the trade centers, and I say that's how it was done. Very high tech, and once you connect, as I go to explain some of the other chapters, again, shapes, when you connect with something like a pyramid or an octahedron, and all pyramids turn into octahedrons automatically, invisible one forms, you're connecting with all the dimensions of the universe. So you can focus, if you know how to do it, you can focus unlimited energy through that. And, of course, I also got the story in there when I went back to the clairvoyant woman and told her, like, look what I learned from that pyramid book you gave me. I made this thing that keeps bananas from going rotten. And then she tells me her story, like, I got an interesting story for you, she says. A number of years ago, somebody gave me a gold hollowed pyramid made out of solid gold home, and you put an apple under it and leave it there for 2 years. She says, when I picked up the pyramid 2 years later, the apple was as fresh as it was when I put it in there. Is that amazing or what?
Yeah, the Egyptians were definitely onto something. And I want to thank you, Tom, for coming on the show tonight and having this amazing conversation. Where can everybody get your book?
It's available at all the normal places, Barnes and Noble, on the web, Amazon, iTunes, I think too, and of course you can contact the publishing company and get it through them, Fulton Books in Pennsylvania.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We have the links up for Fulton Books over at jimmychurchradio.com. So if you just click right there, it'll take you straight to fultonbooks.com to the Connect the Dots Theory page. Tom, I want to thank you so much. And listen, go enjoy the New York nightlife and be safe out there. And thank you for the book.
I do all the time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Tom. Be safe and be well.
You too.
This
Bye.
is Fade to Black. Tom Edison. Again, the links are over at jimmychurchradio.com, fultonbooks.com. Connect the Dots Theory. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'm opening up the phone lines right now, 323-825-5045.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on jimmychurchradio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
PatriotPrepared.com carries the leading brands of storable food from Numana, Legacy, and Heaven's Harvest. Patriot Prepared. Our name says it all. We're dedicated to empowering you to be self-reliant and confident in any circumstance. Whether you want to be prepared in the event of an emergency or you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, PatriotPrepared.com has prepackaged meals and kits for your entire family. Legacy, Heaven's Harvest, and Numana are known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. Simple to prepare, easy to store, gluten-free and organic high-quality nutrition options with a 25-year shelf life. You can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. So go to PatriotPrepared.com right now to pick up your supply of high-quality storable food for your family, because it makes good sense to be prepared. That's PatriotPrepared.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you, Tom Edison. The book is Connecting the Dots Theory. There it is. Great book. And I want to kind of sum things up here a little bit, but I do want to open up the phone lines, 323-825-5045. I want to talk about the possible reptilian photograph, the selfie, that allegedly was posted on 4chan and then brought 4chan down. Everybody's talking about it. I've gotten all the email, the post, and people texting me links, and I've seen all of the photographs and all of the evidence out there. So I do want to talk about it. So give me a call, 323-825-5045. Have you seen the photograph? Have you seen it? Did you get sick? All of that in just a minute. Okay, so give me a call, 323-825-5045. I do want to talk about the reptilian selfie on 4chan. Now, back to Tom's book. Rita hit me about a week ago. She goes, man, you've got to see this documentary series. You've got to see it. It's called The Code. And so we did. We watched it. I think we watched every episode a couple of times, trying to absorb all the information there. And it's pretty cool how it's laid out. But my comment to Rita was the professor that is the mathematician that is the host of the series. As he walks around in life, right? And he's sitting in a cafe or he's riding in a train or he's in a car, or he's with friends. No matter what he's doing, he's looking around and seeing nothing but numbers. Everything has an equation tied to it. Right? He went and was Dover Sole. He's dealing with a fishing boat, right, over in England. And, he gets an equation that's tied into that. He goes to Stonehenge and different stone circles and megalithic structures and measuring, showing how pi is achieved. And I get that too as well, right? So everything is connected. Pretty well done. But going back to the way that Tom has written everything in connecting the dots, it's all there. It's the same kind of references. And that's what I find interesting, because if you think about it, for me, something that I've talked about on this show constantly is that everything is connected. It doesn't matter how you look at things. You can make the connection back and forth. You can do it. It just doesn't matter, right? And I know when I say that, under the conspiracy umbrella, well, you're talking about conspiracies. No, you have to understand that everything under the conspiracy umbrella, when you start to put it there, whether it's E.T., whether it's the pyramids in Egypt, Are We Alone in the Universe, the Knights Templar, Jesus, the Bible, the Fed, right? Income taxes. Everything is connected. How can you possibly connect fake news today and the media and the preponderance of that all the way back to the Sumerian text? Well, you can. It's all connected. It really is. And as you start to look at life, and for Tom to be at a gathering, right, to be at an American Indian drum circle and have this enlightenment back in 1995 and just look up and have something light up in front of him, and the next thing you know, he goes on this journey and ends up writing this book, and how he just found that everything in life, everything to conspiracies today, were all connected back to those copper-colored fireflies. Right? Think about this for a second. I see the very same things. It's a very interesting book, and he's got it laid out right. And it's just really funny how, and he said there's no coincidences, right? How Rita and I were just watching this documentary series, The Code, and we were talking about the exact same things. It's just fascinating to me. It's absolutely fascinating. Tom, great book, great conversation. And what I really enjoyed in his conversation tonight, in his voice, was his enthusiasm. Because, here he is. He's lived life. He's done. He's lived life, right? He's, you think that you've seen it all. And he goes out and has this experience. And it was life-changing for him, and he started to realize that everything is connected. Very interesting. I really enjoyed hearing about how these small little points of light were forming a geometric pattern, that he came to the conclusion that it was a portal, and that there were ships up in the sky, and that this was a portal to and from those ships. Think about this. For somebody like Tom to go and come to these conclusions at that point in his life is astounding. And I'm seeing the same connections around me. I'm seeing how everything is related. I can go right now, and I'm being serious about this. I can go and connect anything. I can connect the Indy 500 to Pumapunku. If I have to, I can do it. I really can. Everything is connected. If you're somebody that is going through life, not somebody that's listening to this show, because you guys get it, but if you're somebody that's going through life where you get up in the morning and you eat your cereal and you go jogging and you come back and you jump in the shower and you get ready, you get dressed, you get ready for work, you jump in the car and you drive to work and you're listening to the radio and you go to work and you work all day and you hang out with your friend, you go to lunch and you get back and then you wait for 5 o'clock and you jump in the car and you go home and you watch the news and you have dinner and you hang out with the family and maybe talk to the neighbors and go out back and have a couple of drinks in the backyard and maybe watch a little late night television and go to bed and then get up and do it all over again. If you are one of those and you think that nothing is special in the world, that is all there is, you are wrong. You are so off base. Everything is connected. Everything that I just said about your day, from when you wake up to when you get, it is all connected to your neighbors, to somebody that is in Africa right now. It's all connected all the way back to those pyramids in Giza. It's all connected. Everything is. You know, how sad is it that somebody would go through life and not see the magic of this, not see how everything is connected, to not be able to have the vision, right, to look at life in 3D, to go outside, look up at the stars, and get that connected to why you are here. It's amazing. Today, I just saw the new photographs of a galaxy that is 400 million light years away, right? It's the farthest galaxy that's ever been photographed yet. And you look at that galaxy, and they are talking about an immense size. This thing is just huge, right? It's humongous. And look at the amount of stars and what is going on there. And you look at that. Now, what was interesting about this photograph today is what was around it. That's the thing. Okay, this massive, and it's 400 million light years away. And everything around it, all the little points of light, were other galaxies. Now, think about that for a second. It's all connected. It's absolutely all connected. All right. I want to get to this reptilian photograph that was on 4chan. Okay, I got you. Rita just brought up in the code, and thank you for that, Rita. In the code there was, this blew my mind, episode 2, was the imaginary number, right? And also negative numbers, but the imaginary number. The imaginary number that, when inserted into these equations, makes things work, right? And they brought up flight controllers in a tower at an airport. The software that runs radar and the calculations that are made in the software to track airplanes, when to land and when to take off and not to have collisions and everything else, is calculated with a digit that is an imaginary number. Now, what am I talking about here? An imaginary number. And that's the only way that they can make the math work. And that's the only way that they can get planes to land and take off without hitting each other. But it is based on, check this, faith. Yeah, man. And I had no clue. And it's the only way that they can make the math work. But they have to insert, this is their words, not mine, an imaginary number. Right? Think about that for a second. And these guys, these calculations are flying, right? The planes are flying. I'm talking about the calculations are flying. Huge numbers are being crunched, right? To figure out what is moving out there with radar, to figure out what's moving and what is stationary, they have to calculate. I mean, big number crunching. And the only way to differentiate that and to make it work is with an imaginary number. Now, I'm not that smart, and I've tried to wrap my head around that, but let's just go with this, just like it's presented in the series. It's all based on faith. And if you have the faith, the numbers work. And if you want the numbers to work, then the radar works, and the software works, and the computers work, and the planes can land and take off without hitting each other. How trippy is that? Unbelievable. All right, back to this reptilian thing on 4chan. Have you guys seen the photograph? All right, I have. Well, I've seen the alleged photograph. There are about, right now, I've probably seen 15 or 20 different reptilian 4chan selfies that are going around in the net. And as I went and looked at this, now, before you go and freak out, first off, I'm not sure if 4chan ever went down, right? So there's that part. I'm not sure if all of this, and I want it to be true, I do, but I'm not sure if all of this was just based on somebody's practical joke on a post, okay? The photographs that I've seen, now the story goes as this, that people that have viewed I want to say it's a reptilian, are getting sick, physically ill, vomiting, right? Okay. So there's those stories going around that it has been completely wiped from the net. And anybody else that has tried to post these pictures, they immediately get wiped. And then it goes one step further. Now I'm just going to say urban legend. Now the urban legend is stretched into, if you download this or if you have it on your hard drive, they are able to retrieve said image off of your hard drive. Now that rumor's going around. I have, out of the 15 or 20 images that I have seen, there's something very easy that anybody can do. It's very simple. You do a Google search. Right-click on the image, search Google for the image. And you are going to be able to get to the bottom of any of these images. Now, out of the 15 or 20 that I have seen, I spent a lot of time doing this today, the backgrounds of all of these are readily available on the net, so you can see where everybody is doing the Photoshop, the cut and paste of a reptilian of some kind, and it's slapping this in there. Let me jump over to Twitter really quick. Are you guys posting this? Yes. Okay, here's a shot right here. Thank you, Mark. That's one of them. You guys can jump around if you want. You can post them over in Twitter so I can see what you're finding out there right now. The one that Mark Tarana just posted, this is the one that is going around that allegedly was posted up on 4chan. Now, this background image is all over. You can find this anywhere without this gray reptilian dude that's in the front, this pixelated thing. That is just a stock photograph in the background with a tree. And then this reptilian guy, he is all over the net. So they've got this all washed out and pixelated. But this is a composite. This is supposed to be the original one, the selfie that was posted on 4chan that crashed 4chan. All right? This is a composite image of this just basic reptilian guy, and they've done this, how do I want to say this? It's a composite, but they took a stock background photograph and used this front one. Why today, and you can go, I'm going to retweet this out now so everybody can see this. Gabriel just posted his version of it. There it is. Okay, it's the same one, slightly different color, but it is the same image. So I'm posting these. The ability... Okay, here's another one. Thank you, Steve. Okay, also, again, I'm just going to break everybody's heart. All you got to do is this guy right here, the alien here, is a dude from the X-Files. Okay, so what's his name from the X-Files? That's easy enough. That is a stock photograph. And then the background is a stock background image. That's all that is. Okay, this is not some reptilian selfie. That's a dude from, 4chan was slash-dotted, right? Say it ain't so. They were vomiting because it was 4chan. I get that, IPD. That's actually pretty funny. Man, I haven't seen anybody say slash dot in a long time. It used to be my favorite hangout. Okay, so now back to these images. Anybody can go and right-click. So here, Suj, I'll do it right now. So here with this image with that Steve just posted, there you go. You can go and look at this all over the web. You can look at the different background shots and foreground shots and who is doing this. It's very simple to do, right? And it's the same thing with the 15 or 20 that I looked at today. Some of them that I looked at today were actually screensaver backgrounds from Windows. It's like, please. And you can find all of the background shots without these gray reptilians in the foreground. And even these are composites. It's very simple. But everybody right now is reading that because it's 4chan has mentioned that it must be real. Now there's a Reddit thread. There's like 20 Reddit threads that are all composited down to one. And because it's on Reddit or because it's 4chan, that this must be real and it was really crashed. It didn't happen. I don't believe 4chan crashed. If it crashed, it wasn't because of a reptilian selfie. Okay? Now, yeah, super easy Photoshop. Thank you, TB. You're absolutely right with that. Anybody can go and look. Now, there are more than these, though. Okay, here you go. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to retweet this, too. Thank you, Justin. This story is actually, picked up legs. And I am going to say that in the last 24 hours, I probably got 10 emails, another 5 texts on my personal cell phone, and some post and direct messages in Facebook about this. It's unbelievable, and it's not a real story. It's not a real story. 323-825-5045. Thank you for this, Mark. The code, that is it. That's the cover of it. Who's got the links? Is the code actually up? We saw it on Netflix. I don't know if it's actually up on YouTube. If you can see it, and just go to YouTube. But it's actually pretty amazing. All right, 323-825-5045. Sorry about that. Ignoring the phones. Been looking at these different posts. Okay, here we go. Thank you for this. Didn't I? This is my page, isn't it? Is this when This is when, yep, thank you. This is Steve, again, posting this. This looks like the stuff that we had this up on our website like 3 or 4 years ago. Different fake alien pics from around the web that everybody thought was real. But there you go. There's the stock photograph of the tree. There you go. Yeah, I don't think it's real. I don't think it happened. And if there is, did Alex Jones turn on Trump already? I don't know. That's an interesting post. I don't know what's going out there with that. In a perfect world, everybody, we would all love to live and see 100 years old, right? That's the magic number, 100. Gotta live to be 100. I'm 53. And I look back and think, 53. All right, when I was 21 to get to 30, man, that seemed like a long time. A lot happened. Between 30 and 50, that 20-year period, a lot of stuff has happened. I achieved a lot of things. I got a lot of stuff done. Of course, Rita and I, and out there kicking life's butt, right? Well, I'm 53 today. And 100, that is 47 years from now. So that's basically double my life. And I've already, cruised through. I feel pretty good for 53. But 100 is the magic number. We're not quite there yet, that the average lifespan would be 100. But it seems today that is what we're all looking at, right? Check this out. There's a new study that by the year 2030, we're going to average 90 years. Life expectancy is set to increase globally, and the South Koreans will be the ones living the longest, and they are going to hit 90 on average first. Scientists from Imperial College in London, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, the WHO, set out to study longevity, which reflects one measure of the overall health of a population. Now, go with me on this. The countries in the study ranged from high-income nations such as the United States, Canada, the UK, Germany, Australia, to emerging economies out there in the world like Poland, Mexico, and the Czech Republic. All the countries had data going back to 1985 and a population of 1 million or more during the entire period. Now listen to me. Based on the team's calculations, are you ready? A baby girl born in South Korea in 2030 will have an average life expectancy of 90.8 years. A baby boy born in South Korea, same place and time, would be expected to live 84.1 years. An average life of 90.8 will be born in South Korea in 2030. How crazy is that? You know, and talking about, you know, the code and connecting the dots and the theory of everything kind of situation that we've been discussing here tonight. Everything is related. Everything is relative, right? And one thing is for sure. We're taller. We're faster, right? We're more healthy. We're less sick for the most part, right? Let's not go all conspiracy now. On all fronts, everything is a little bit better, faster, and we're living longer. I would think that as I look back and I think about who was 40 years old when I was 10, right? 40 years old was old. That was ancient. 40. Today, a 10-year-old doesn't look at a 40-year-old like that, right? And if you're 40 today, you're young. You're just, you know, retiring at the age of 63 just doesn't even make sense, does it? It just. I'm not ready to retire in 10 years. I'm still going to be a kid. I'm 53 today. I'm a kid. I don't feel any different today than when I was 20. And I see this research, an average age of 90.8 coming up in just 10 years. I think we've gotten there. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Think about that. All right, I'm going to take a quick break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to thank Tom Edison for the amazing conversation tonight. I do want to open up the phone lines, 323-825-5045. Have you seen this alien reptilian selfie on 4chan? Have you been part of this? Do you think it's real? 323-825-5045. More when I come back. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my... It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. Mm-hmm. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code TSL.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave moisture control units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to open up the phone lines. 323-825-5045. Okay, they're open. 323-825-5045. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's simple. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. If you become a member over in our membership area, you will get your own very private email directly to me. And one of the things that has been happening over this last week since we started the membership area is I have just been getting tons and tons of email, and replying back to each and every one is one of the coolest things ever. Right. And Rita said to me, she goes, look, you're not going to respond back. You never write people back. You never respond to your emails. Not the case. It is such a cool thing for me to do every single day, is just go through that ton of email that is just sitting there from all of you. It is so cool. So become a member today. Just go to our membership area, click on that. Everything, by the way, everything is secured. Every page, when you click on that, you will see that little padlock, right? Everything is secure on the site when you go to the membership area. So any information that you share there, I want to drive this home. Any membership information that is there stays with Fade to Black. We don't share that information with anybody. That is just between us and you. That's it. Completely secure. All right. And the membership just popped up right here. I'm going to go ahead and retweet this. So become a member today. It's very simple. You can become a Fadernaut, and you will have the studio cam on Thursday nights totally free to become a Fadernaut. Just go. It's simple. Just your email, and you become a Fadernaut. I think we're in the last week we've got 300 Fadernauts, right? And then you can just go down the membership area and select what you want to do. Okay, we are giving away a Tascam. Hold on for a second. This is live. We're giving this away right here. A Tascam DR100 Mark III. Brand new, in the box. This is yours. All right, all you got to do is subscribe. 1 year subscription, and we're going to give one of these away in 3 weeks. We're going to do it live on the air. We're going to put all the names in a hat. We're going to do it live on video. We're going to pull a name from the hat, and somebody is going to win this. How cool is that? A Tascam DR100 Mark III. One of the coolest ghost hunting tools out there. But on top of that, for music, anything that you want to record in the digital domain is here. You have +4 microphone inputs. You've got built-in microphones on top. There are 2 batteries in here. You have your main battery and a backup battery. So you're never going to run out of power. The other thing that is really cool about this, and I put this up on the member page, but I don't think everybody understands exactly what I'm referring to here. This records a backup file. A backup file. So while you are recording, and you're in the dark, or maybe even at a nightclub, or you're recording a band, or you're recording yourself, or you're playing guitar, or whatever, another backup file is recording at the same time at a lower volume. So if a peak happens or something crazy happens, and you go back and you listen to the file, and you go, oh, man, right? I distorted for a second there. You've got a backup file that's run at a lower volume, totally clean. So you can go back in and edit if you have to. You've got a good take that you like and you want to insert the clean section, you can do that, or you can run with the clean section. It's one of the most versatile, coolest digital recorders on the market. $300, $299 list price. We're giving one of these away for free. All right? So become a member. All you got to do to get into the contest is a 1 year subscription. That's it. All right. Everything is updated, by the way. We've got, we're going to start going backwards, but all of the current shows are there all the way through last night's show. Everything is there commercial free in the membership area. All right. Where was I going to go? Let me take this phone call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello, Jimmy. It's Eric.
Oh, hey, Eric. How are you?
I'm going to bug you as often as I can now because I've missed you the last few months. I haven't been able to talk to you, so I feel like I'm jonesing.
Oh, well, get your Jones on.
Okay, so I got to say something. I'm listening to you talk tonight, and you were talking about living to 100, and you said twice, today I'm 53. So is it your birthday today?
No.
Okay, I thought maybe it was your birthday and nobody knew because I was kind of tripping on that.
No, it's not my birthday.
Okay, well that's good. So I'm heading to Shasta right now. I've got some guy that I met up here last time I was here who's going to take me to this area, and he says that he guarantees me I'm going to see something. So I got my night vision. If I see anything, it won't happen tonight, probably tomorrow. So if I see anything, I'll call in and let you guys know.
What night vision did you get? Did you get Gen 2, 3, 4? What'd you get?
I got the Gen 2. I did the Gen 3. It is about 50% better, but the way I would say it, for example, if you have a TV and you're on 720 as opposed to 1080, you still see 720 real well, but you can notice a difference when you go to the Gen 3. There's a little more light, but it seems a little bit more crisp. But I saw everything with the Gen 2s that I needed to see personally to convince me if there's something in the sky flying around.
What have you seen so far?
I was looking through them up when I was up there in Sedona. I didn't see anything, but then I handed it to this girl, and I just walked away and let her look at them for a while. And then apparently when I walked away, she saw some things up there. I don't know. I wasn't there to actually have her point at it, but So I haven't seen anything yet, but if I have to go to James Gilliam's ranch, I'll do whatever it takes. I want to see these things. And then I am going to Contact in the Desert this year. So
yeah, totally cool. Are you using them every day?
No, I haven't. I got sick right after the conference ended. I got really sick. I had like a stomach flu, and I was bedridden, and I just got better like 2 days ago. So I drove from Sedona to Tucson. I took Javi to Tucson, and then all the way back home to Morro Bay. It was like 950 miles all in one day.
You know, I don't
under
even know.
Under the influence of no drugs, just coffee.
Yeah,
Red Bull and coffee.
I don't even know if it's legal to drive that many miles in a day. But the thing is there's stuff going on up there. If I had your Gen 2s, I would spend every moment that I could outside. I would be looking up in the skies constantly. I can't believe that you haven't been doing that. I'm fully jealous.
I want to. Well, you know, I'll tell you what. I'll be happy to loan them to you. Like I've mentioned to you, I got that plate. If you, whenever you're ready, I'll just bring it up there, and however we got to get AAA to do the paperwork for you, so you can just transfer them right into your name. You don't have to deal with it going to the DMV or anything. Just straight through AAA.
What that means is that you are going to get the disclosure of the location of the bunker. You're going to have to sign forms to have that happen.
And just for the listeners, this is a true story because Javi told me this. He said you made him sign some forms, and he looked at me with that serious look. And Javi's not serious. I mean, Javi's a great guy, but he got serious when he said, "You will sign the forms if you ever go to the bunker."
This is.
I said, "Okay, yeah, I can keep a secret. I don't have a problem with that because there's a lot of stories that are floating around right now that I can't wait to tell you in private because they're not. They need to be screened before they're talked about on the radio. But I'm dying to tell you, though. Trust me.
So, how was the UFO Congress? Can you give us a quick report on that? Was it pretty cool? Was it well attended? I haven't seen a whole lot about it this year.
It was packed, and there was a lot of people there. A lot of older people. One thing I noticed because I did get to pop in and see you for that one night at the Conscious. What was it? At the Hilton, the Conscious Life Expo. I saw that one night because I just wanted to come in and see what it was like. And the energy there where you were was amazing. I mean, there was a lot. It was very alive.
Right.
It seemed like it was kind of chaotic a little bit. But then when I got to Arizona, it was totally the opposite. It was this real like spiritual, loving kind of. Not to say that LA wasn't, but it just had a different vibe to it. And the people were great. I met a lot of interesting people. I even tweeted that one lady, which if you want to have her on your show, I think her name is Ruth Ann Friend. And she has pictures, and she told me stories that you would want on your show. Trust me, this lady's amazing. She's an older lady. She's probably close to 70, in her 60 or 70 in that range, and she's an experiencer her whole life. And, you hear these great stories. I'll tell you what I like the best, though. So you probably don't get to go to these experiencer, like 12-step group meetings that they have at 8 o'clock in the morning when you're doing your rounds, I'm guessing. Do you?
Sort of.
Well, okay, so what I'm saying is there was 100 people every morning in this room.
Right.
And John Polk and I would go, and they raise their hand, and they would tell their little story about what's happening in their life and what kind of experiences they're having.
Right.
So to be a fly on a wall in that meeting was insane. But I just want to tell you one quick story. Everything was positive, but there was this one guy that stood up one morning, and he was pissed. He says, I'm hearing all these stories, and you people are having these wonderful experiences, and after these experiences, you become more enlightened, and you're able to do these magical things, and you have these abilities you didn't know you had. But they're messing with my family, and I'm pissed about it, and now they're messing with my grandkids, and I don't like it. And it was like the one, negative story, but everything else was very positive other than that, though.
Well, how many people do you think were attending that?
That room, it was a huge
no, I mean,
room where they were.
I mean Congress in general.
I would say 1,000 at least, more than 1,000, definitely.
More than 1,000.
Way more.
Okay.
I mean, it was packed. It's a great venue. I suggest strongly. I know if you can make it next year. I don't know if you. I suggest you go. It's the Wekopa, I believe, resort. Weko Pa, all divided to 3 syllables.
Right.
Resort, and it was awesome.
Well, the only problem for us with the Congress is it's right on top of the Conscious Life Expo. And it's so difficult for us. I mean, 2 years ago, I think it was on the same weekend, right? And that makes it impossible. But for us to turn and do a conference like Conscious Life and then to turn around a week later and go to the International UFO Congress, it's like impossible. It's impossible for us. It's not like I'm going in there for one day.
You might want to just do it for a day or two, and I'll tell you why. Because there were some people there, like Sebastian Martin was there, and that other guy from the UK, Johnston, or not Johnston, what's his name? Miles Johnson. Is that his name, Miles Johnson?
Yeah.
The guy from London. There was a lot of people that were there that were not speakers, that were just hanging out and, partying and talking to people. And so I could just envision you and Rita popping in for a day or two just to kind of experience the whole thing, not have to be responsible to talk, anything. Carrie Cassidy popped in. You probably know that. You probably know all these things. But I'm just saying it for the listeners here.
Right.
But, sitting down with Sebastian, I know you've had a chance to experience that guy, from all the people that I've met and heard speak, he's got to be one of the most genuine, real guys. I just want to really put a 4-star on that guy. I really feel him.
So what do you make about these the Men in Black dudes that were there? Do you think they were Men in Black, or do you think they were actors?
I wouldn't say. I wouldn't put my thumb on either one of that. I would say neutral. I don't want to try to exaggerate, but somebody else saw 3 of them. I didn't see 3 of them. So if that other person saw something, and okay, so here's the part that gets me is, why would some dude in a black hat with black sunglasses, and go and take Sebastian Martin's cigar and just kind of walk away with it? That could be a joke. It could be something just kind of weird, but
right,
it does add a little mystique and a little wonderment to the whole thing that happened.
Well, the other thing is this, Eric. Why would somebody, if he was a Men in Black, dress as a Men in Black and go to the UFO Congress? You're going to get spotted by everybody there, right? You would dress in blue, dress in red, but you wouldn't dress in black, would you?
That's why. If I had to make a bet, I would say no, he was not a Man in Black. But I was standing right next to him. I was looking at his face because I was trying to get a face. Was on the side of him, and he was kind of twitchy and just moving strange, almost like somebody that was on meth or something, just kind of weird.
Well,
and then he got in the conference, or he got in the auditorium where they're serving the food, and he went in the line and he stood there. And I watched him, and he didn't talk to nobody. He just stood there, kind of like a statue.
Well,
but anyway, it could have been an actor.
Well, at Roswell last year, what they did, the city had hired actors. They had a Scully running around. They had a Men in Black running around. They had these different actors that were dressed up and playing the part and hanging out and walking up and down the streets and at the parties and you looked and you went, oh, okay, you're Scully. Had the FBI badges on and so forth, and they had the Men in Black guys running around, and so that's all that I'm saying. Just maybe that's what it was, or it was somebody just having fun. Look, I've done the same thing. I remember I went to this was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I went to go see Roger Lear, Dr. Lear speak, and I wore a suit and I stood in the back of the room and leaned against the wall, right? And wore and I wore sunglasses, right? And I tripped people out for hours. Nobody would come up and speak to me. It was hilarious, man. And, I knew I was playing the part and I was having fun, and I was trying to look like a Fed. But so if somebody's going to do that at a conference like that, you're going to either play the part, right, and act twitchy and act like a Men in Black, or you're going to walk around and tell everybody that you're just there for the Congress and you're dressing up as like a Men in Black. But you're certainly, if you're the real dude, why would you play the part? That's all that I'm saying.
I agree. No, I agree. I'm not going to discredit. Somebody else might have another story other than what I've told you, and that might be more enlightening, but from my perspective, I could not say yes, that was a man in black.
Right.
I wouldn't go that far to say that.
Well,
but there was, okay, I will tell you this. This is something you may notice this, but a lot of times you go to these conferences, and every day you start to see the same people every day. You reckon it's almost like, you know, you're having a family breakfast every morning. And then all of a sudden, one night, a Saturday night, you know, you're standing there and you see somebody different that you haven't seen for 3 days. And we did see a couple guys that came in that, I mean, they looked just like, you know, NSA, CIA. If you were to imagine in your mind how they would be dressed and their haircut and their demeanor, that's just what, and so John Polk and I actually talked to this one guy and threw some questions at him, and he was just very evasive, and he almost got uncomfortable one time. I do think that these types of people do make appearances at some of these conferences because they want to see what's going on, and if there's something happening that they feel they need to report, that would not surprise me. I do think that's happening.
Man, I would love for that to happen because I would be in somebody's grill. I would, man. I'm not scared. Rita will tell you, man. I will go up. If I see a cop, I'll go up and talk to him. If I see somebody that looks like a detective, I'll go up and do, you know, what are you doing? You know, what's going on? You know, I'll just do that. And if I'm at a conference and I see somebody that's looking Fed-ish, right?
Yeah,
CIA-ish,
exactly.
I'm going to go right up to him. And I'll find out. See, this is something else that was really strange. I think it was 3 years ago at Contact in the Desert. Walter and a few of the other Fadernauts were seeing these women in black all over the place, and I never saw them. And everybody else was talking, man, did you see him today? They were over here. They were over. And I never. So they were making themselves visible at Contact in the Desert. I never saw them. And then later on, it was at night. Rita, well, I'll have to defer this to Rita. A friend of ours said that they were driving up the road on the highway right there, and said that they saw a tall black figure on the side of the road, and that I think that they saw the same figure inside Joshua Tree, you know, at the complex. Now, I never, you know, I got to refer this to Rita again. I got to defer this over to her. I think we had like a few different independent confirmations of this tall figure on the side of the road, that it was seen by a few different people. Now, I didn't see anything. You know, I would love to. I mean, I would, if I saw somebody like that on the side of the road, Eric, I'd pull the car over. You know, most people, most people will keep driving. Not me, man. I'll put that thing in reverse. I'm going to go back and I'm going to rap at that guy, you know. So there you go. All right, man. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to put my hands on your Gen 2 night vision.
Right on, man.
I think that's very exciting, and I'm glad that we have some of that in the family now, so we can go and check this out every time that we need to.
Right on. Hey, it was good talking to you. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the near future.
Well, let us know what happens up in Shasta.
I will, brother. You guys have a good rest of the night. Good night, Peter Nuts.
Thank you so much, Eric. On his way up to Mount Shasta with his Gen 2 goggles. Man, I'm a little jealous. Okay, hold on a minute. What's this? 4chan mystery. We got the video, more photos, and how they got the photo. Okay, I just got this. I'll look at this, and I'll report back to everybody tomorrow. Thank you for sending this in via email. I'll check it out after the show tonight. This whole 4chan thing, I'm not so sure, but I'm convinced that, well, at least everything that I have seen. See, this is the deal. The screenshots that I've seen posted, all of that, I've already debunked that myself. The original, if there was an original image posted to 4chan that hasn't been out there yet, that is crashing hard drives and making people sick, I haven't seen it yet. But if I've sent something that is different and independent of everything that I've seen already, that's different, I'll check it out and get back to you. But it's too easy to figure out right now. Okay. Heads up, humans. That's right. Automated software bots right now that patrol Wikipedia, they regularly engage in fights that can last for years. Now, listen to me. The autonomous software agents are tasked with correcting spelling, maintaining links, or even undoing digital vandalism on Wikipedia's web pages. But when two bots find themselves with conflicting missions, they can glitch out into patterns that disrupt service. The behavior is significant, said researchers from the University of Oxford and the Alan Turing Institute, because it suggests that even the most basic kinds of automated programs and artificial intelligence agents can display unpredictable behavior when interacting with each other. The researchers tracked the behavior of Wikipedia's autonomous edit bots between 2001 and 2010 on 13 different language editions, and they found that the edit bots' behavior was often unpredictable as they virtually crossed paths while doing their jobs. For instance, two edit bots programmed to make conflicting changes to a web page would circle back and make edits over and over and over, each undoing the other's work in a potentially infinite loop. And it's supposed to be artificial intelligence, right? Think about that. Now, it's so funny because people complain, well, you know, somebody's editing my Wikipedia page. Somebody's going in and changing my Wikipedia page. Every time I go back to my Wikipedia page, it's changed. And I've got to go back and that's what's going on. There is some manual humans editing that is going on Wikipedia. It does occur, but most of it is automated. Wikipedia is way too big. And if you think about it, that's where the frustration lies. When you have the sock puppets and some of the other automation that is going on in forums, in social media, in Twitter, and in Facebook, you're arguing with somebody that's automated, right? And you're so frustrated with it. Well, if you think about it, that's actually what's going on. That automation will just continue. The automation and the web bots don't need food. They don't need sleep. They don't need anything. They're going to be relentless and constant. And people are so frustrated with it. Well, that's actually what's going on. Very interesting. Okay, really quick. India's air now rivals China as the world's deadliest. The air, the oxygen that they breathe. It's according to a new study that was published today, amid warnings that efforts to curb pollution from coal will not yield results anytime soon. India's notoriously poor air quality causes nearly 1.1 million premature deaths every year, almost on par with China. But whereas the deaths linked to air pollution in China have steadied in recent years, the rate has soared in India, where smog readings in major cities routinely eclipse safe exposure levels. India has recorded a nearly 50% increase in early deaths linked to fine airborne particles known as PM2.5 between 1990 and 2015. This has been Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to thank Tom Edison for coming in and talking about his new book, Connecting the Dots Theory. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Beatty Bidell. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCAR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Until tomorrow night, my guest, Gavin Kelly. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.